Testing, testing. Look at me. Look at this. On both sides of everything. Everything good. Equipment, sound. Is my sound good? Is my, let me check. You guys hear me all right? Camera's good here. I'm coming on all platforms. This is D-Boy from the West Coast Uncensored coming at you. Man, we are off and kicked off last week. We had some dynamic time. I want to talk about that. Those video that we dropped the last week and having that show, which I thought was dynamic. I went and listened to all three of them, but I listened to the one that we did with VL, and man, that was powerful. It was we were talking adult conversations, and that dropped last week. And I tell you what, I'm thinking, and we're looking at actually having a weekly show with that adult conversation because that thing was fire for those that are looking for something that is raising their consciousness, their experience into a whole different level of understanding and seeing their being growing and knowing that everything you see going on around you, there is a haven and a place for you to go and find yourself. And when you find yourself, you'll see that there's some stuff in there that you got some fire. You got something that will bring. It's the only thing that's going to satisfy you when you touch and taste and see. I know that was a scripture, but it's within you because that whole aspect of Christ, the whole aspect of all that is abides within you. There's a reason they call this the temple. This is the reason. This is the body, and the reason that Christ is an oil is all connected to you. That's just an aspect of you, and you actually have the fuel pack to get yourself. You got the fuel. You just have to put together the rocket, and that's putting together yourself. You actually got everything that you need to take yourself consciously, mentally, spiritually, consciously, and expand those things to the next level of reality and not be used, but start being the creator of your own reality. And you start opening up doors within yourself and experiences that you cannot deny, and it doesn't matter who comes to you trying to deny it. When you have the experience and you become a knower and you know and have these experiences, it doesn't matter what anybody tries to come and bring you any kind of dogma or any kind of mindset. That you know that you know that you know. It doesn't matter. And also be open. There experiences don't stop, they're continuums, and we're going into another phase of that. It's going to go into a different level what can I say? It's going to go into a different level of reality, and you've got to know how to deal with that. And it's not going to be one of these things where you fall short and you don't really know, and you have a rough time. You got to be able to anchor and direct your car, your ship, spaceship, whatever karma you want to ride or need to delete or elite or delete, whatever the thing's going to be to go to your next level, and use that and understand knowing yourself, going within was always a teaching, a spiritual teaching to take you anything and take you to another place. That was the truth that's on all these books from the past, all of them. Most or all these ancient books are metaphysical and have nothing to do with a historical happening. Nothing, nada. And they even say it in them. In The time of indoctrination for many is being deleted. Many have went through a process already. I can give you my process, man. My process started in 91, and it's been a process. And quickly with that process, I was able to tap into different realities and different truths and see things differently and have more what we call revelation knowledge. But it was a process to go from one process to the next process. And when I even was able to have apocalypse for that, or the revelation, because here we go with the book of Revelation is in the word apocalypse. Apocalypse actually means something that is hidden is revealed. It is the end of something old, but it's the hidden of what's coming, a new beginning, a new way, a new system, a new system within you, a renewal, a new age. because it's really connected to the age. And these books always talked about the new age. We always wondered why they, in 2012, were going the Mayan calendar ended and they got everybody, if evil is this the end of the world? And anybody that had any spiritual knowledge and adepthood knew that this had nothing to do with the end of the world. It was the end of the age of Pisces. And with the end of age of Pisces, you can see it all written in the Bible, all the thing about being fishers of men, all the thing about the symbols with fish. It was all Piscean, man. Stop them. I'm gonna just say it. Stop the baloney, because it ends. And that's where you got to see when this stuff happens, that you, when you do see this and it becomes your reality and you understand and know, and also understand is key to understanding, and then there's an overstanding. These are three levels of consumption of knowledge, but also putting that fuel into a standing, meaning you go erect, you stand up, you stand for something, you stand in your knowledge, you stand in your truth, superseding old belief systems, which, man, they're unfounded. Some of them, if you really get common sense working, you go, they don't make any sense, because it's one thing common sense is supposed to be is something that every culture would, didn't matter what the language would have something common, it would be common sense. But when common sense becomes cut off like a tail of like your tail, which would be your story, and common sense is given in another story, and there is no common sense, that people can't abide in something they've lost until they get it back. Hear what I'm saying? But you really never lost it. That's the illusion. It's just sitting within you and staying there. And there's just a lot of layers of program, because we have many programs that have been downloaded, just layers of programs that you have to unravel to find you. So, man, I'm just so good to be happy with the West Coast Uncensored. I'm doing my passion. Of course, I told you and put out the video that things have changed. They have changed. This is not going to be wrestling and sports driven no more. It's going to be the passion of who I am and what I used to do, which was, I used to teach, minister in that realm, Christianity, but not traditional. In my process of awakening, doors open where I was teaching and preaching a metaphysical and a spiritual revelation knowledge, Gnostic. And then as it grown and grown and grown, then in 2012, which is, with the end of the age, I kind of got this jolt and understanding, and I seen things even different and had to even lift that veil of what I was doing and even walked away from it, because I realized that, hey, this isn't the fullness of what it is. I just was having parts, and the parts were growing, and I was able to always give up stuff that I used to believe when I found it another truth. I had no problem with leaving the former thing when it was corrected. I had no problem. I did that in 2012. Just a little story. I walked away completely from what I was doing and had been doing since 93, which is at the time was looking at 7, 12. So you're looking at 7 and 13. So you're looking at like 20 years of teaching and preaching. I established different works, connected with people. And like I said, it wasn't traditional in dogma. I kind of got out of preaching dogma. And I know that when you go past that, I still was in some sense. But it was a revelation message that I started. It wasn't in an indoctrinated church that I came from, which is I came from the Pentecostal realm, but I was able to walk in different areas, and then there was some activation going on, which now I see that we're going quantum. A lot of these younger people don't go through the process that I went through 15, 16, 18 years of processing, being in the same place. But then when the time came to lift that veil, I walked. And that was 2013, right around there, when I really started taking on other practices and going beyond the limits and borders of even what I was in, that exceeded the borders of what I was in before. So, to make a long story short, I can go on about myself, but this is West Coast Uncensored. All is here, all is you, and all we are on this all together. And tonight I was going to talk about some things. I just had some really good information, deep diving, looking at different things, and I was going to talk about some stuff today, and I was really going to talk about how important balance is. And um, balance is so important that anything that you want to achieve in growing and getting to a place to be able to stabilize yourself and grow is to find balance. And balance, when you start growing, really is indicative. I hate the reflection of this light in my glasses that you guys probably see, but I do need my glasses to read some of my notes. So I may be off and on with them, and I will be off and on with them, but that's cool as a cucumber, or like some people say, the other side of the pillow on a summer night. But anyways, when you start looking at them, balance is important. When you start seeing that the balance is connected, and you start seeing the realms, or the 360 degrees, and understanding how balance is connected to a pole. That's why these key words, even in the reality, you're talking about the police is a balance. Why? Because it's pole ice, or pole ice. And then if you start understanding this, you'll kind of go, you start seeing what these realities really are meaning. I can't call it politics, because I always use the word of politricks, because that's what I see it is. But the word politics is considered into a balance of pole. It is. They've been disguising it. And that's why you can see the manifestation of this politics as being red versus blue in the United States. It's one order against another order, which allows the pole to be imbalanced, because you have one side against one side, and then they get polarized, means you lean heavy to the other side. And if you're leaning and you're the heavy side, you're not balanced. It's just, and it's actually a game that's being played on you when you understand this through politics. It really is a game. And you understand that when you learn balance, and you start getting some revelation and knowing, you start seeing the game clearly, so in a more frivolous way. So, but the key thing is the balance is within you. Balancing yourself first has got to be the main thing, because if the power that you have, and this is one of the things that we really gotta grasp, and it is an experience to grasp. When you have friends, you have kids, you got all these people that you have built relationships with, and have all this thing, and caring and love and emotions tied into them. And then you see their struggles, and you see the decisions they make, and you feel like you give great advice, and they come to you with great advice. But it's easy to get caught up in judgment, and it's easy to get hurt, and then it's easy not to really be balanced, because what happens with that is that when you're not imbalanced, you tend to want to change something outside of you, and you only have your powers. The only word you got that can be absolute is you. You have the ability to go in and change you. You can give somebody great advice, just the great best. It could be the best advice ever given in the history of mankind. It just really can be. But if somebody doesn't take that advice and apply it to themselves, that advice will just fall on the ground. It will fall on dead ears. The old saying goes, it will fall on the earth. It doesn't have any, you don't have power over them. And if you think about it, I'm glad you don't. Don't they have to make the decision to take their advice, because you only have power over yourself. So that's why this becomes a mature thing, is that to take power and realize, because people of 10, the system's program is designed to keep you outside yourself, looking for everything, looking for every aspect that nourishes you to come from outside of you, whether it's appeal to the end, whether it's external, cloud daddy. All this stuff is designed to keep it outside of you, when the reality is everything that you need, and everything, any of it, again, to the religion aspect, everything that the only power you have is making decisions to do you, and take that and run with it, because you cannot make anybody outside of you do anything that they don't want to do. I've learned that. The profession I practice, besides what I was talking about earlier, working in medical fields, um, seen it over and over and over and over and over and over. You can then had to really come to the fact that you can get caught away in emotions with them, and then when they keep going through their same things, and you wish they would change, but they can only make that decision, but you get attached to that, and then you never get attached to going and doing you. This is where the change got to come. You got to do you. You got to be the important factor of what this is coming to. This is a change. Anything less than this will not be effective in your life, and you'll see the same merry-go-round and get off at the same bus stops, and you'll get off on the same stop signs, and you'll get off on the same exits, because it just is the way it is. Until you make the changes, you become the technician of yourself, and this is where balance comes in. If you learn that this balancing act within you, you know what, the balancing thing, it's really incredible about balance. Balance, you have to find it, and when you find it, you have to understand what I said. It's poles. It goes into the natural, the north and the south pole. They're magnetic poles, kind of like you got to find a balance in those poles because they start shifting. And this is something also within you, and I'll prove it to you. And when you look at it, in the same thing. So listen to this. So you got to. So how to find balance? It's connected to the sides of energy. There's two different sides of energy. There's feminine, masculine, and it's within you. Left hemisphere, right hemisphere of the brain. It's you. These energies that have been around since forever um, have been abiding, and we know very much in this Western system about it, because we I'll use a word that I was that past my very first pastor used to say, Tommy rat. He'd been taught a lot of Tommy rat. That's what he used to say. And when you think about it, it's funny. Some of you know that will see this, know you'll be laughing right now because you know what I'm talking about. Is the fact that it has been. We have not been given the full blown truth because people don't give you the truth. The truth's got to reside it in, because they're not looking for your best interest, because it's about it's about dictating to you and having power over you instead of you finding knowledge. Knowledge is power. And when you start finding knowledge, you start finding that a lot of things that you thought had preeminence and a lot of things that you thought were important and must do and must, like the whole saying, must see TV. Hit the subscribe and hit the like, because this is must see stuff right here. This is the true must see. But what I'm saying is the must see stuff that we've been propagated, it ain't bringing nothing because it's designed to keep you from yourself. And I'm telling you what, I know that the many of you are that and know this orders, and it's stirred up the people, and it really has. But I dropped that video the other day in that podcast talking about the go home orders. Did you take advantage of the go home orders, or did you stay in a mindset of being unbalanced because you see the imbalance you've been living in, or did it occur to you, and did it drive you into yourself to find that creativity and find that balance within yourself, that you can now change your life and don't have to be following anything outside of you that tries to hoard over you or lord over you like a master. So find you. So this balance act. So here's another thing that is really key to about balance. Think about it. Balance is something that you don't attain. It's not like in a graduation or a retirement or a birthday party, and you know that's it. I attained it. Peace out. I'm graduated, or I retire from work, or I retire from from my job. It is not that. Balance is not something you achieve. It's not. It's not achievable. You don't achieve it, because once you stop, you'll become imbalanced and you'll fall. Clay. You will become imbalanced. So it's not something that you continually look to achieve and contain, but it's it's a continuance of an exploration. Blah, 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 I need some water. Of the reality that you're living in, by growing knowledge and understanding how balance works, as you start learning the secrets from within you and how balance works, and actually the best way to keep balance even within your thoughts, within your being, and your creativity. And this balance, when you get there, it's important to find out. Most people don't even know it. And I'll give examples. How many times I've talked to so many people that will use their astrological sign to justify negative behavior, saying, well, that's the way this sign, negative behavior, and it can be. But when you don't have the knowledge of what that means, the reason that you can find out about that astrological sign and then connect it to the behavior wasn't to justify that you continue to do negative behavior and to justify whatever that behavior is or whatever you're doing in the negative part of that part of you. is to balance it. Now that's mastery. That's where the beginning of knowing that's what it's for. I find my weakness through this and I work on my weakness. I just don't stay weak and then exploit others or, whatever it may be, judge others, go off on others, whatever your point is to justify what you do, which is imbalance and childish, because it's about growth, learning how to control you and kicking in there. And of course, a big part of this is once you start knowing that this is what you need to do is meditation. Meditation is going to open the door for you for your balance. You've got to go through the door of meditation and learn how to meditate, or you will never, never grab the wheel to even drive the car or the vehicle. And that car is also, you'll never understand the vehicle for your karmic lesson, because that's a continuum. Your karmic lesson. What is this lesson of this life, of this what you're going through your path, supposed to connect you to? Because that lesson will be connected to that part that you need to work on. It's not a justification. Oh, I'm this, so that gives me the right to be not treat people right, be rude to whatever it may be. It's not a justification. Balance is going to teach you, and knowledge is going to teach you, and achieving those adult conversations like me and Lavelle was talking about is going to give you the tools to find out how to do this. How do I balance myself? How do I change things? And let me tell you what, if you're not driving your energy, something else is. That's just the fact. That's the way programming's set up. It's set up that way. And if you wake up, and if you don't know, you don't hear me, this conversation is not for you. But if you're waking and you're going, man, there's something in that it says, or you're somebody that's had it and kind of went another road, and you go, man, that's back me on a road. I hear it. I agree with it. I feel it within my inner self. It's connected. Then this is for you. This is not. This is the age to wake up. The burping, the milk, the rotten milkmate. It's done. We're not looking for that. We're looking to make adepts. We're looking to make people grow. We've had 2,000 years of a system that created continual babies to serve or inorganic mother and father, called a system or a matrix, and done. And if you're one that says done, take back your power, this is definitely for you. This West Coast Uncensored, with the videos, with the teaching, we're going to get tools. We're going to keep going. This is deep. And have our shows, and it's on Anchor. I thank God for Anchor, and all the publications and all the platforms Anchor gives us, and then of course the YouTube, the YouTube definitely is also. I'm here on YouTube. I'm here on Anchor, which is connected to 7 platforms, and I'm here on YouTube, the old reliable YouTube. Um, so those are some of the things that you can do. That's what we're talking about. Balance is not attainment. It is an exploration of the reality of yourself, learning how to keep things balanced, how 180 degrees of one thing is the opposite of what that experience could be. If you're somebody that wants to live in the joy and peace, know that there's the other side of it. It is. It may be namaste over here, but it might be vengeance on the other side. And why I'm saying that is because you got to balance that, and balancing these things, because we went through we went through turmoil, maybe abuse, definitely trauma situations. If you've been on this earth, you definitely have. And it can be from the very core. It should have been your foundation and your parents. I mean, just to be honest, it is for many of us. And many of us have been through some really radical stuff. But I'm here to tell you that you can heal from it. And you can take that negative energy that keeps coming back to you and keeps revisiting you in the phases of your life. And it will keep revealing until you're able to transmute that and deal with it and transmute that energy, that negative energy, and change it into like a fuel, where you actually change it, transmute it, and it will supply energy to you, and with a healing, but also supply that energy you need, because this is all about energy. Anything that's done, this distraction, is all because of energy, because attention's energy. If you're distracted, that distraction has your attention because it has your energy. And all the distraction is here is to keep you outside, because within you are the temple. Know thyself, and you're going to know. Know thyself is also used in many different platforms. Know thyself, go within, the kingdom of God is within. All that stuff in former things. It's all driving the fact that you are that which you seek. You are that which you're part of, and you are definitely a multi-level being that's living in different aspects of yourself. You have some aspects from yourself, like I said, through the transmutation. Don't hide that stuff from yourself. Don't hide the other side of yourself. So that's why when the very thing in every aspect of people, you have strengths in different parts of you, and we'll kind of go into that later. But the strength of balance is one of the things. There's power in balance. So one of the things in the exploration of the reality is also as you go through an examination, because in the balance you can examine. An examination is like you're being able to see things clearly and you can examine the situation. You start, like an examination, you go to the doctor for what? An examination. You have a test is examination. And then when you have that, occurs by your technical work you do on yourself. Because here's the thing is, when you do technical work on yourself, it's because you're a technician. Meaning, when I have my automobile needs some kind of repair work to it or to be examined, right? I don't take it, I don't run it over to Del Taco. Hear what I'm saying? And go up to the person working at the cash register and say, can you check my car out? Why? Because they're not the technician. I go to a technician because a technician is going to examine, do a diagnostic, and tell me what I need for my car. And then if I realize that I can do it, I'm going to give him the okay to go, or her the okay to do it and do the examination and do the work and do the technical work to make my car fix what's needed or change the part that's needed for my car to run what at its premium condition. Excuse me, right? So it's a technician. You need to be a technician of yourself. This is the process you're going to go to. They may hear me, because this is definitely some skilled stuff for the skilled ones. So what you're going to do is you're going to examine and you're going to do that technical work on yourself. Why is it technical work? Because it's going to be a technician work, like um, it takes a technician IT to work on a computer. Like I said, you don't go to you don't go to Taco Bell to get your car oil changed or to get a tune-up. And you don't go to get your tune-up and look for food. You'll go to Taco Bell. So, so the technician thing is very strong. That's why you see former, check this out. You see former things that we've judged, like the Mayans, or you see Aztecs, or not just Aztecs as a technician. Bam. Also, Toltec. What did the Toltecs do? They were technicians with manifesting dreams and creating within their dreams. So I go to them to do a technician work, and an Aztec to go to do a tech, because this tech's been around a long time. It's not propagated. Everything happened in the last 400 years, and this knowledge is ancient knowledge. And I'll tell you the truth: this technology is ancient. It's not new. So you got to understand that. And then here's some things to look at on balance in the regular world. How many here know about ballerinas? Check out what ballerina actually, they work with feet in their performance. Really strong feet, really toes. Their performance is hinged on how good their balance is. Ballerinas. It's an art. It's a dance of movement, of rhythm, vibration, and movement, and it's also an art. Hear what I'm saying? So when you see this, you realize that this is the name of this too. This name of this video is Balance is a Skilled Art that Exceeds Time. And I'm going to tie this in. So when you look at the balance of a ballerina in their feet, right? And their feet go through they have to do a lot of toe work, a lot of pain and agony. They go through a lot. It's definitely difficult. Their techniques and trainings are extensive, excuse me, not excessive, extensive, probably are too. If you want to get better, you're gonna probably try to outdo the person you're in competition with that has a spot. I'm imagining. I'm not an expert on them. I just did the homework because I'd seen the balance aspect of what they do. So their techniques and training is extensive, and their hierarchy is, get this, their hierarchy, their higher place, that hierarchy is strict, meaning there's a discipline to their hierarchy. Hear what I'm saying? This is also you. This is happening with you. As you become a technician, you have to be strict in your knowledge of how to make things work within you. This is where balance comes in, because balance is something that you do, but there's also a place of what this balance is going to do for you as you learn balance, and that you use the technician of it, because there's places you can work and operate from if you that you when you're balanced, that you can't, that get fires off that you can't do when you're in balance. Hear what I'm saying? When you're leaning, like is imbalance, right? When you're leaning, always leaning, that word leaning on, that word cane, having a cane, leaning, because you need the cane for balance, because you can't stand straight up. That's where you get cane, which ends up being king in the translation of etymology of words, ends up being king. But cane actually is leaning in this aspect, Cain, and the other one in the Bible is his brother is Abel, and Abel means an able body, somebody who can stand straight because they're balanced. They're operating in a different level of function. So look at this. So you have the ballerinas are extensive, and I have a hierarchy and this is what their hierarchy principle is. And this is what I'm going to say. And we can go to a lot of depth stuff, but there's some principles that you can always refer back to even when you go extensive. There's some principles, and I'm not talking about principles because if you don't know, dogma is not principles. It's not. The principles are being rooted and grounded so your hierarchy can stand. Feet are important. As much as we've entered in to the whole body is the 5-pointed star. It's the pentagram. Head, there's a 3, 2 feet, 2 legs are the 5-pointed star. When when culture has tried to demonize everything, where it comes from is not necessarily demonized. These ancient civilizations did not necessarily try to demonize, and they didn't try to, not kinda, they didn't try to demonize the symbolic. This has been done. Just the second one, like I said, and I heard perfectly by another by somebody else, was if you're not a custodian of the knowledge, and you're somebody that took it and was not the custodian, you will not look after it in the same way because it was not given to you. Think about that. So ballerina extensive, and here's the hierarchy and gender roles. And I'm not going into any gender for modification. This has nothing to do with this. This is balance, because there's a feminine and masculine to these balance of the pole. Feminine and masculine to your left and right hemisphere. Spirit and flesh, feminine and masculine. And we've had a reversal and an upside down swing through this Roman system and then the devaluing of the feminine aspect when we go deeper and find deeper, and before that it was actually the mainstay of the feminine aspect. And this is why that when your car has no more juice and your battery runs low, you can't just when you get a jump, you can't put it on just the plus and expect your car to charge. You have to put it on the plus and the negative, the balance of the pulse, and then the car will get juiced up and get that rush of energy, and the battery will be charged, and now the vehicle can roll again. Hear what I'm saying? This is all metaphysical too. It's types and foreshadows, allegories. It's connected. Think of what I'm saying. So when I see the hierarchy of gender roles, you're seeing the feminine and masculine in the higher role, meaning it's up here in the higher chakras, in the crown and the opening of the pineal gland. Remember, the pineal gland and the pituitary gland are feminine and masculine. That's the whole saying of you will receive a land made for milk, for that you'll receive milk and honey out of this land. And the milk and honey is that you're receiving is that you inherit, bringing yourself into a place where milk, pineal, honey, pituitary, and it may be in there. And if I need to reverse it, I could be wrong on that, on which one's milk and honey. But the fact is, feminine and masculine. The land that you need to inquire and grab a hold of is between your ears, is you. That's what you inherit as yourself. That's what the whole story is about. Anything more, it's just propaganda. It's just making nothing to make people imbalance. It's part of the imbalance plan. But the gender roles, meaning there's a balance in the hierarchy of this. Think about that. and they are definitely performing art that is founded on knowing how to move in balance. That's the ballerina. And there is a male ballerina. They're called ballerino, I think. Yeah, I was looking up. That's what they're called. But the feminine aspect is what is in this. And there's male aspect. That's why the hierarchy is in the roles of the gender through this practice and this art of balance. That is you too. The feminine and masculine of your consciousness of your brain. It's feminine and masculine. Everything's feminine and masculine. That's why when you see spirit and flesh, it's feminine and masculine. Spirit, and I'll go into something about that on another lesson. How the moon and the sun, how to, we're going to go into that. How that's represent what that represents and what it used to represent. I mean, there's even phases and the changes of how people see anything because we are both masculine and feminine. We have both those poles within us. We are coming out, and that's one of the things that's really coming out. And you can even see it in those who have hijacked, as you see the very first pope comes from an organization within the church that is the first pope that's under that feminine part of it, the very first, because they understand there's a change of energy, and where they're trying to keep out of the karma, get receiving of the karma out of it. Yeah, but I don't think you're going to this time. It just ends when you don't do the law of nature. It does come back, and karma gets you. And karma necessarily doesn't have to be bad. It's a lesson. But if you keep running from it and thinking you're going to get it running, there's time that, like John Lennon said, it's got to slap you in the face. You've ran too much and manipulated too much. It's no more running to hide. Your actions now, it was and you didn't proceed with the lesson from learning. You just kept hijacking it. So if you think about it, that's deep with them. They were definitely they performed. You're bound and watch this. How to know when to start. You got to know when to start. When you realize that you need balance in your life and that you're imbalance, you got to start. The kickoff place is meditation. And then as you start meditating, you will start being balanced with your thoughts. Your thoughts really can be, if you're taking every thought and you start meditating, you realize that you have so much thoughts, that these thoughts are like a tape recorder, does not stop, and that you have to take control in them and not let them, because they have been, if there has been 20, 30, 40 years, they just been whipping you down for that long. And then how many times do you take thoughts and run with them, and they really didn't even serve you. They actually caused you grief, harm, and maybe harmed relationships, and who knows, and even worse, maybe even children. And when you become balanced in this, you don't realize that you slow everything down within your mind, and you know what to take and what not. That's being the technician of balance. You know what to take, what side, and all that is even goes into science. The left and right hand, and in the middle, you're in the middle is the balance. You've got to. That's the whole thing, because it's just not left and right side in the pole. There is a center of the pole, the hierarchy, right? Of the pole, the archangel, right? You can see the archangel, the heart, the arc angel over you, which is the center. And the center is when you get centered, that's where your creative power is. Because if you're imbalanced to the one side, the other side, you're completely a judge. You're judging, judging, judging. And what does it say? If you're judging, you judge yourself, because the judgment is going to whip you up too. And you might think you're judging people, because people get caught up in that mindset of judging, and it's right. It does not benefit you one iota to judge, and it just gives you no power. You have no power to judge, because you're judged within yourself. It's just a process of judgment. It's just the way it works. You're actually judging yourself when you judge others. You're actually judging yourself, and this isn't just something you do. This is an energy phase, man. That's what we understand. This is energetic, and it's really energetic. And I want to talk about one other thing to kind of get on this, on the balancing of the pole. It was the high wire walking family, which we have known. They've been around since the early 1900s, I think 1922. It's called the Walinda family. And if you know about the Walinda family is a family of many generations that are high wire, started in the circus walkers that walked on a high on a line, and they would walk over high spaces, and this family was doing it without catching nets. So it was definitely life or death if they did not balance themselves. And so they would walk. They would walk. They've walked over Niagara Falls. They've walked in over high buildings in New York City, I believe, in other cities. They've established a lot of this. And the key thing about that, if you think about it, let me share something with you. Just a little revelation, but something to look if you're not thinking. What do this family walk with? They walk with a pole. Why? Because the pole is called a balancing pole. This is what you have in your spinal cord in the balance of self through meditation, through the pole of your spinal cord, which is kind of like a snake, um, um, aspect of yourself. And when you go into meditation and release these fluids, this is what's called the balancing of the seven energy systems. Let me get some water. Getting dry. The seven energy systems within you, which in ancient times in India in the ancient language is called chakra, which means it's energy systems. It's a pole. And so they would use a pole to walk. Why? Because the pole is required for balance. It's required to walk. When you're walking up over Niagara Falls, up in the 60-story building between two buildings, if you don't have balance, you will rotate too far and too fast. So now what are you controlling? You're controlling speed, time, and area and balance by knowing how to balance yourself. These Walking Melinda family have been doing it since, God, their family's been around 1922, nearly 100 years, and it's been generational. It's becoming generational. Why I was using them, it's just the balancing of the pole. And this is what we do as a technician within us. We learn to balance ourselves and balance our pole. And if you learn to do this, it is a technician. It is not an immature thing. It is something that you do that you will able to see your imbalance manifest and change them correctly or change them instantly, or know that when you see them that now you're seeing the triggers of your imbalance, whatever your imbalance is, because we all are different. We all have different parts of us. We all have different, ups and downs, which is connected to our astrological sign and also connected to our we're just different. Not it's just like a fingerprint. Our fingerprints aren't the same because we have a uniqueness, and this is part of our uniqueness that you can only balance you. Your pastor can. They're still around. That's how far I'm removed out of that real. A past star, a pastor, a past star, falling star, fell a long time ago. Um, is nobody can do it outside of you. You have the power to open up the seal because the seals are within. There's a code in that. You have the code to yourself. You have the key to yourself. This is all going into knowledge, occultic knowledge. This is what all these books are saying. They're speaking another language. And how I know that is because I've studied it and know it. I know the symbols and the occultic nature and had very much studied it and know it and took the time to know this stuff. But I can tell you how simple it is in a way. My One of my sons wrote a message today on Facebook about something he was going through, and he spoke in a very coded language for him and his friends. And my wife was like, "What does that mean?" And I go, "It's encoded." Because what I mean by encoded is that he's speaking in a language that you don't know. This is what's been happening with the cultic language. And remember, this word occult means hidden. Not saying they're doing things good, but we get off on everything's occult is negative. It just means hidden. It's like the book. It's like the word Revelation in the book of Revelation. Where that's him, the apocalypse. Apocalypsis is, I believe, the Greek word, and it means the veils came out and revealing that which is hidden. Love that. But when something's revealed that something hidden, something else does end. When that which is hidden is revealed, there's something it ends because the game's over, because there's no more hide and go seek's over for that realm and for those people or through that situation. When you find something new, you find another angle of understanding and your conscious opens up, you drop other things. It's just those who grow and those who know and technicians, you find out more and more about yourself. So why I'm saying that is that he was speaking in a coded language that only him and his friends and the group of friends in there talking would know, is like speaking in symbolics and really what the system has been speaking in languages you don't know and the masses don't know, and it could be right in front of their face and they don't know it. It'd be like if you drive downtown here in LA and you see tagged and and somebody doesn't know the language, goes, oh, that's stupid, they just messed up that building, it looks ugly, and that's stupid to put there. But anybody who knows the code of the language of the tagging knows it means something. There's a big huge message in that tag that them who know that code and the language would understand. But if you don't understand it, it passes you right by, hidden in plain sight in front of you, but you don't know. And that's kind of what's happening. We're waking up to that and we're knowing these things and we're taking full power of ourselves in the process of what we're doing. And we're doing this, man. And if you're on board with doing this, it's time for a change. And it's not play pretty time with with old stuff. I'm not bickering with old dogma. I know what I know, and I don't. That's all game, and that I even have to back up and understand people are still in it. But I do see a release of people coming out of it. I do. I think there's an awakening happen to those who are still, in that realm and in that sleep. I see awakening coming, and then I remember when I woke up in '91, had the beginning of awakening. We didn't have any mentors to say, hey, come here, kid, come this way. Let me share some stuff with you. This is what's happening to you. So I continue. All I could trust was my inner spirit and the revealing of my intuition and the revelation that kept coming and kept growing. But there's some things that if I'd have known, I probably could have kept it tighter through the years and didn't have these lags. But it's all good because the path has been awoken and the path has been, as happened. But we can be there for the people who are awakening now to have some help and mentorship. And this isn't a mentorship of cults and religion dogma. Us who are doing this, we're driving you to you. It's about you. You got to wake up you. You got to wake up with inside of you. You got to take control of you. It ain't about worshiping me and doing this or anybody else in this game that's coming that's true to their form and is real and not playing games. It's about waking up you to you and then give you your seat, man, and waking up and growing into you. It's not about lording over you or taking or this. There is nothing wrong with mentorship. Good mentorship is something that is lacked in spirituality. It really has. And so, yeah, that's kind of what the Walinda family did. And this is, so back into that. Yeah, that's what it is. It's about finding your balance and finding your place in the balance and learning how to use that. And if you learn how to use that, then you're going to start learning how to be a technician and take that place yourself. You're going to balance yourself. And because you're going into meditation and you're awakening, you're going to be aware of things that you really weren't aware and didn't really have the balance of even thinking about. Things that you're missing every day because of a lack of awareness are going to start seeing. And you're going to start being able to see, when I do this happens, instead of just doing it. It happens over and over, and then you do it again, and you're doing it for years and not paying attention in your awareness that, man, you've been doing this for years and it has not paid dividends for you. It has not helped you in one iota, and you haven't even noticed that your repeated stuff has not ever benefited you and boosted you up. But when you come into awareness, we become so aware. That's why using the word sleeping, when you're asleep, you just don't know. And waking up and then doing that, then you enter into awareness because you're peaked spiritually. You're peaked in another level, and your awareness is you're seeing things that aren't always there in the naked eye. I'm going to share experiences that I've had since the last couple of weeks, man. I've been having experiences with different things. I went into some meditation a couple of Sundays ago. I think it's 2 weeks from tomorrow, and I went into a meditation. I'm going to close with two experiences because they're real, and you start having, and I used to have these experiences. I've had these experiences a number of times, and actually I've had experiences with other people with these experiences that were, one of the reason I even woke up was through an experience in '91 with me and with LaBelle that you seen on the video, but heard on the podcast the other day. But here's what happened. I was definitely in meditation. A good meditation was really good. It was solid. It was like, man, I have so much energy and feel good and I'm so peaceful. And I just went to that place and I was able to just control my thoughts and just the peace that was bestowed upon me and the stillness of myself and the depthness of myself. And then I even was been practicing and looking at, because the connection of talking to your ancestors, praying to your, if you want to call it praying, talking, but connecting with them, because I understand this continuum, how they're connected, and that's been taken away from us too. And then I was looking at that and praying, and I was naming him out on both sides of the family and talking. And then I went, I don't know how long it was, but when I was done, I was completed, and then I took a walk, and I went in the bathroom, and all of a sudden, this music started playing in the house, and I was like, okay, that's my wife. She probably turned on her phone, even though it didn't sound like it came from any. It didn't sound like it came from any type of technology. To be honest, it was really clear, and it wasn't sounding like it was muffled through the wall or outside. It sounded in the house, but it wasn't in play very long. Maybe three or four notes, a little, 3 or 4 notes of singing, 3 or 4 musical progressions. It was quick, 2, 3 seconds. It was really, really small, but very powerful and very loud and very noticeable to me. So I came out and said, "Was that you playing your cell phone?" And she goes, "No, I thought it was you." And I go, "No, my cell phone, look over there is the other side of you." And I knew immediately that I had an experience through my ancestors that was paranormal. I just knew. I knew, and I've had this stuff before, but it's awakened within me because the connection of them, because I see them, their DNA and all that. And this is where we understand, man, this is life, man. The continuum. You don't destroy energy. You don't, man. We're eternal. We keep going. I mean, that continues. This game don't end because you change cars because this car gets old. So I knew they're there. I knew they're connected, and I knew they had manifested that sound because the sound was. I do have ancestors that are Native American, actually Choctaw, and it was the beginning of a Native American song using the sound of oh oh oh. Not in that form. I'm not a great singer, and I can't. But they did, and even the music started up where you heard the rhythm. She heard it. My wife heard it. She thought it was me, and then she said, "No, your phone's over by me, so you didn't have your phone." She goes, "What was that?" And I go, "I mean, I just was connecting with them, and they just kind of let us know that they let me know that they're there, and they allowed you to hear it." Because I've had experiences where other people didn't even experience it, and it was right there in front of them. And but there was some reason she was akin to it too, and she heard it. She heard it clear. She goes, "You're right. It wasn't muffled. It wasn't outside the door. It wasn't out in the across the street or outside of us. It sounded very clear, crystal clear, and it actually did sound within. That's why I thought it was your phone." But I can see that it wasn't your phone because your phone is by me, and no, I did not play any music on my phone. See, and then today, and back in 2010, I went and started a very metaphysical ministry, not a traditional church ministry, actually off the traditions of men in the state of Washington in the city of Wenatchee. And one of my best connected pupils that I knew through the process of being there 2 years, um, I knew that person really had got it, that it impacted their life because at that time of the message, and I knew the people there were really new to this message. It wasn't exactly where I was, but one of the things I was teaching and driving home in my teaching all the time was that it's within you. Christ is within you. God's within you. That Christ is you. Christ is within 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 you. Just hammering that home to people. We're just hearing this message for the first time and preaching some Christianity Bible based revelation that would go with it, but bringing out the stuff that Christ is in you, the hope of glory, that it's the Christ in you. A lot of the stuff that Paul would bring out and some other the revelations that were there and that I had known, that you could see that it's hidden in the dogma, even traditional churches. She calls today and we talk and she's open and we get on some deep, heavy stuff. But I come to find out when she called, she said she didn't call. She says, "You called me." And I go, "No, I didn't call you. I was getting ready to actually had just planted some plants, and I was getting ready to go into doing some yoga because I just repotted two plants, And I was getting ready, and I was just finished when the call came, and I was getting ready to dip into and get into some stretching and some yoga. And that's when then the phone call came, and she said, I didn't call you. And that's why I said, bang. When something's divine in connection, and I'm going to tell you what happened out of this. We talked for over 3 hours, and it felt like 20 minutes. This is when I'm talking about that you're going to another space and time, and continuum's there now for you. And sequencing of these sequences of waves of energy are there now where you're starting to surpass time. I'm telling you, this is all this quantum talk and quantum computers. This is what it is. It's not talking about linear time anymore. It's all time. It can be folded up. It's a creation of man. Just telling you the truth. So what I need this experience, and because you're tapping in and you're going to these things and you're doing these things and you're taking part of yourself and you're active from within and you're establishing that within and you're establishing yourself and you're allowing yourself to grow and you're allowing yourself to be balanced. This is what happens. And now it doesn't become, oh my God, you had this experience like some, biblical character thousands of years ago, or some even book in the past, you know, that you would talk about somebody like Krishna or anybody or Buddha or any of these past people that in allegory books. This is your experience of reality that is now not hemmed in on who you are, but you just have unveiled yourself to yourself. And that's what I wanted to say. So now it becomes it's not an unnormed thing to me, but is an expectation of the connection you have and what's happening. Because I'm telling you what, to go into this with everything that's happened, and they shut the door and say, go into your house, don't come out. If you didn't take advantage and you still got time, invest in going within. There's still time, and there is time. But I tell you what, this time has been incredibly open door, because with these go home orders that they put, it besides getting us home, and we can say we converted to that, but the reality, there's something that you can reverse on the other 180 of yourself, go home within you, because they actually, by doing this, shut down a lot of noise around you. This is the other side. When you do things, there's the other side of the pole. I don't care who it is, them, you. There's the other side of the pole that you can use for your complete growth of expansion. And that's what happened, because it was easily accessible to go into meditation and have breakthroughs. This is D Boy from West Coast Uncensored. Be dropping some more. You guys have a great day. D Boy, West Coast Uncensored.